This is Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related, and today is a community focused video. This is going to be the first of its kind on the channel, and some of you may remember last week I was asking you all what you wanted to see out of this upcoming Stadia Connect. So what we're gonna do today is take a look at some of your replies and then talk about them just a bit. But if you don't see your comment in the video, don't worry. You'll always have a chance to show up in the next community video, and the question for said video this time will be, what is the key factor that brought you over to play on Stadia? As we all know, there are plenty of reasons as to why you would use Stadia. For me, it's the love of the technology behind it. I think it's super fascinating stuff, and I really can't wait to see what the future holds for it. But I know many of you in the community are actually playing it because it's the easiest way to hop in and out of the game. Others prefer it due to the freedom of choice on where you want to play. I'll be looking forward to your comments and reasons as to why you choose to play on Stadia. But now let's get to the topic at hand. With the next Stadia Connect just a day away, what are you all looking forward to most? Let's begin with a comment from Yashiwa18. I just wish Overwatch or COD Warzone would come to Stadia. On a personal level, I agree. Call of Duty and Overwatch are huge names to have, and I really want them on board with Stadia. I feel like right now we're still lacking that key competitive multiplayer shooter game, and we need it to be something really big. At the last Stadia Connect, we got the surprise of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and while I do understand that it is a competitive shooter with crossplay, I don't think the appeal of it is as broad or as wide-reaching as something like Call of Duty or Overwatch. Aside from how easy it is to get into it, but the overall polish just isn't there for the casual audience. When it comes to choosing my favorite battle royale on the market, it's up in the air between Call of Duty Warzone, which I've been playing non-stop since launch, and the newly released Hyperscape on PC from Ubisoft. In an ideal world, I would actually prefer for them just to announce that Overwatch 2 would be making its way to Stadia, and that the next installment of Call of Duty along with Warzone will be too. With that said, I'm doubtful that we're gonna hear anything like that at this Stadia Connect, but my fingers are crossed. The next comment we're gonna take a look at is coming from Ayusha Srivastava. I want expansion of Stadia to other countries in this Stadia Connect. Now, before I begin, I want to give you my condolences if I just butchered your name. I do apologize for that, but I did want to highlight your comment. You see, Ayusha here has been a part of the Gen S community for quite some time despite not having access to Stadia. And they're not the only one. In fact, there are plenty of you who have been a part of this community consistently checking in on seeing when expansion for supported countries is gonna begin to roll out. And while I'm sad to report that there haven't been any rumors or leaks about this actually happening, I do think this Stadia Connect would be a good place to announce it. So much so that I do expect it to be a part of the presentation. As for what countries are actually going to support it, that's what I'm not sure about. But three that do come to mind are India, South Korea, and Latin America. Now let me just quickly explain my reasoning as for why. Now I'll put India and Latin America for the same reason here. It just seems like these two regions are the most requested areas for Stadia support to be brought over to. And that isn't just true about my YouTube comment section. The official Stadia Twitter page is constantly replying to people who are requesting support for these areas. Trust me when I say that I follow the official Stadia Twitter handle extremely closely, including all their technical support replies. Those regions show up more than any other. As for South Korea, I think it's really important that they support that region as soon as possible. Not only is their network infrastructure ideal for cloud gaming, but Project xCloud is already doing really well over there. Back in January, there were reports that it was seeing 1.75 times more usage in South Korea over both the UK and the US. And with Xbox being one of the biggest competitors to Stadia, I think it's a smart move for them to enter that market sooner rather than later. All in all, I think there's a good chance that we'll see or at least hear about expansions to new territories come this Stadia Connect. The next comment is coming from user Suspicious Unicorn. Yo, I would be blown away if they announce YouTube livestream support. And you know what, Suspicious Unicorn? Me too. And it's not because I think that this won't happen. It's because I plan on fully using this feature. I, like many other users out there, are stuck with an internet provider that just doesn't provide sufficient upload bandwidth for a Stadia instance and a stream session. I can do one or the other perfectly fine, and luckily I don't have to deal with data caps. But when it comes to playing on Stadia and then trying to stream it to YouTube, I have a huge issue. The game either becomes unplayable or the viewing experience just isn't that great. I still remember when Stadia first came out, I had a huge problem, and that had to do with Destiny 2 being very laggy. To the point where my first impression of Stadia was extremely negative, and I think many of you might remember that stream. Turns out, most of my issues weren't actually with Stadia, they were with my connection. At the time, I didn't know my upload speed would affect the Stadia instance that much. Turns out it does, because as soon as I stopped streaming and hopped back on Destiny to try it out again, it was running much better. That's why this feature really does matter to me. Many of you will remember that I initially planned to stream my Stadia games and play with you all, but that never became a reality because I just couldn't do it. This feature enables that for me, and I'm sure there are plenty of you out there who also want to stream and interact with the community but just can't. That's why a feature like this really does go a long way for some users. And luckily, it seems to be something that's been in the works for quite some time. A ton of information and data mined info points toward this direction. Needless to say, I wouldn't be too surprised to see it get announced and talked about at this Stadia Connect. And if not, at the very least we know it's being worked on. The next comment we'll talk about comes from Greg Doyle. I hope that at the Stadia Connect, a lot of games that were shown recently to be coming to other platforms without the Stadia logo being shown. I'm really glad you pointed this out, Greg. I think it's a very fantastic talking point. It's fair to say that many of us in the Stadia community, especially among the content creators, were hoping to see the Stadia logo come up a lot more than it has. Some people took this as a really bad sign. Others are waiting for this Connect to see if maybe they'll announce support for them there. And then there was the odd occasion of Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Its launch trailer showed the Stadia logo, but THQ and Google have yet to acknowledge whether it's coming or not. So what really is going on? Well, your guess is as good as mine. That said, I do expect some of these titles that have been announced without Stadia support to actually be talked about here. The fact alone that THQ and Google haven't commented about that SpongeBob trailer, or it hasn't been replaced or taken down, says quite a bit. The real question here is just how many of those games are actually going to find their way to Stadia. Currently, we have rumors going around that Apex Legends may come to Stadia. Other people think Rocket Arena may come, considering it's launching the day of the Connect. But the truth is that nobody really knows right now. Even in those two cases, they're based on speculation and educated guesses, but at the end of the day, they're just that, guesses. What we do know based off the latest Stadia community blog post is that we can expect trailers for games that have already been revealed, games that have yet to be revealed, and something else not directly game related. But if there were one game that I really want to see come over to Stadia that's been recently announced, it's EA's Star Wars Squadrons. The fact that it's launching with crossplay would be a huge bonus. The last comment we'll be taking a look at comes from Morgan Uche. I want to see that splash damage exclusive on the 14th. And you know what? I'm right there with you, and I do expect to see it. I'd go as far to say that this is probably the safest bet. In fact, this was teased at the last Stadia Connect. I'm super excited to see what the team over at Splash Damage has come up with considering their previous portfolio. They've worked on a large variety of different games, but if one thing is true to their core is the objective team focus in them. And that's the type of game I expect. Whether it's a shooter or whether it's a strategy game, there's gonna be some sort of focus on team play. On top of that, I really want to see this game take advantage of the cloud. We've already had a glimpse of what that looks like through Orcs Must Die 3, but I would love to see different examples. But like I said, I don't think we're gonna have to be wondering much longer, as I'm totally expecting this game to be revealed there. Either way, that covers this video, but before you go, I do want your feedback, and if you can leave it in the comment section below, or if you want to join the Discord and talk to me about it there, feel free to do so. I'll be linking it in the description below as well as the pinned comment of this video. I also must ask, if you enjoyed the video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. Today's end of video question is going to be all about battle royales. As we all know, the latest edition Hyperscape coming from Ubisoft has just entered the competition. But if battle royales were a battle royale themselves, which one would be the last one standing? Who do you think is the best of the best? Do let me know in the comments section below. I'm looking forward to your answers. As for mine, I'd probably give it to Call of Duty Warzone because of how much I'm actually playing it, but I think Hyperscape has a lot of potential. But for now, I have to give it to COD. As always, thank you for watching this video. This has been Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related. The Gen S community is over 4,600 strong and growing by the day, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.